This just in. Divergence cast confirmed for Infinite Core seasons. When asked to comment, the series hosts had this to say. JJ, who at this very moment is having an out-of-body newscaster experience, commented, "We're going to be doing this until we die, or until we catch up to One Piece, whichever comes first." Alex, who was interrupted 3 times in a row by his phone before commenting, had this to add.
No comment.
Stranger, who for some reason was bleeding profusely from a wound that looked like initials, had this to finish off with.
Will be the next Nisekoi.
Welcome to another episode of the Simulcast and Anime Discussion Podcast, Divergence Cast. As always, I am one of your hosts, JJ, also known as the Journeyman66. With me, as always, are my fellow co-hosts, Alex, also known as Serpent Taxman, and Stranger. Oh,
Yo.
Actually, that's where we start that.
It doesn't really matter. You can just leave it as is.
Okay, and a few notes before we begin. First, while we haven't officially changed over to Season 2 of Divergence Cast yet, we have implemented a large number of changes to our episode structure, specifically having simulcast discussions at the beginning of our show and combining our weeks with general anime discussions, and replacing the games and VNs and anime recommendation segments into one general recommendation segment. So hopefully it'll make the show feel cleaner. Second, we now have a blogspot page for our podcast, which is divergencecast, one word, .blogspot.com, I believe. And it has all of our podcast's previous blog post episodes, and we'll post any new announcements or news regarding our show there as well. But I believe that's all I have on news for that, so with that out of our way, let's move on to our simulcasts. And since this is the week between seasons, we will be doing our simulcast review for spring 2015 or 14. 15. Spring 2015. So, which ones do you want to talk about first?
Well, we do kind of have a few simulcasts to discuss.
Yeah. I guess we'll start off with, well, why don't you guys start off with Saekano, since you seem to like that one a lot.
So, Alex, how'd you like the song they did, man?
I sort of wish... The problem was I wasn't really surprised because I'd seen you talking about it. It's like, you're like, holy shit, they performed Soda Idol Days on Saekano. But I was still looking forward to hearing it. But it was a pleasant little surprise. And also, everything preceding that part was funny because she, with Michiru not being aware that they were an anime cover band. And it's because her bandmates didn't tell her precisely because, like, she wasn't a fan of anime. So that's pretty funny. I just saw the whole entire part with her pretty much bumping and grinding, like, out of, being pissed, not really, like, still playing, just doing the whole fan servicey thing. And then the other, like, both parties, the game team and the her band, just commenting, like, it's very, like, sexual position there and all that.
You can't say all that while you're in the cowgirl position.
Yeah.
She just kept on coming out with, like, the most messed up things.
Yeah. And then in the last episode, or actually both the episodes, Adidi was just pretty much freaking out because the whole thing, the cousin being close cousin since childhood, pretty much beats out childhood friends, and so she pretty much pretty much like faints in the first episode, and when they actually meet her cousin, and then the second episode, she's like pissed the entire time they're at the concert or they're at the venue, and they have to hold her back at the end because I think she's trying to get into the room with them.
Yeah, in true Saekano fashion, they parody the hell out of the childhood friend trope.
Yeah.
Like I remember, ever since the first episode when they were talking on the plane, I knew they were just gonna keep on lampshading tropes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that all the way to the very end with try not to put up any flags for cancellation.
Yeah.
They almost did it. She managed to stop them.
Yep.
And also the entire season, I have loved Kato's just super dry wit.
Yeah. I'll agree with what I think I saw Radau say the other day. She's some of the stuff she said could be so snarky. And
yeah,
just the way, especially the way she's voice acting, she's perfect. She just says it in this quiet way. She's sort of a tinge of disbelief in what she's witnessing, but ultimately don't listen to me. I'm just a party here observing.
Yeah, she's just got that super dry observations on everything, and it's just a super slow burn.
I actually love the part when she was previewing the VN to what's his name again? Toyama?
Yeah.
Tomoya or whatever. And then she pretty much continues to press it, and then it starts confronts him about having a cousin that he might be attracted to. And when he pretty much scolded her for even being around her cousin. That was a perfect part because it's pretty much calling him out for some shit he did in the earlier part of the season.
Oh yeah.
But what did you think of some of the other parts of the?
Yeah, like I was trying to say, Kato's got this kind of wit where you don't realize that she said some of the stuff she did until a couple seconds later.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that really slow burn type of it.
Yeah.
And then
one thing I'm starting to really love is how crazy Utaha can be. She'll just have this random moment of just super, extreme jealousy, just and how also they're doing sort of the power burn whenever she got angry, her hair was waving, and it was heat was rising from her body. I don't really know what to call that, but it's pretty much as if she was having powers, all the power in the world was going to her.
Super Saiyan?
Not really that. It's just more so. I don't really know how to explain it. But it's funny just how pissed off she could get, just at random. And it always has sometimes a couple of times in the last couple of episodes they'll have with a shaking camera, her and closing in on the eyes.
So what were your overall opinions on the band scene?
Are you talking about pre-credit or post-credit?
The Serario Days scene.
The what?
Serario Days.
That was pretty. I thought it was a pretty good part. To me, it was just. I found the one thing that was sort of weird is essentially just covering the actual TV version. I thought it was gonna be a full version cover.
Oh no, they did perfect with that. They had absolutely no interruptions from the voice actors or sound effects during that scene.
Yeah.
And did you notice her voice was all nervous at first because she was in front of the audience of Otaku, but she sounded more confident as it went on?
Yeah.
That was a really good vocal delivery on the part of the save.
Mm-hmm. The second song she performed, that was the opening, right?
I don't think it was the opening. I think it was something new.
For some reason, I called it a similar melody, I guess, but I don't know. Overall, it was good concert part.
But yeah, so overall, did it live up to your expectations of possibly the anime of the year?
if it gets a continuation, I definitely, and it's as good as that first half. I'd be hard pressed to find something this year that matches how entertaining it's been.
Yeah, it definitely has a shot at that. I went in with absolutely abysmal expectations and just blew them out the water.
And that's that's actually the funny thing. My brother actually, recommended I watch the show, and I think one of the reasons why I avoided it is because it's like, the English name, how to make a boring girlfriend or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds so bad.
I was like, that just sort of sounds dull to me. And then my brother told me, it's like, no, just check it out. And I was like, the first episode, I'm like, man, this is really good. And it pretty much maintained that it maintained that level throughout its entire run.
Yeah, I don't remember like any dips in quality. Mm-hmm. Every single episode was just full of like all the snark and like self-referential comedy I was hoping for, and there was also like a ton of really good drama in it.
Yeah.
You don't really see too many shows that can balance that well.
Actually, like sometimes you don't even have an episode. Like some animes will have an episode that's entirely sort of devoted to like conflict between the characters. Doesn't really have any more funny parts. But I think it was episode 9 with Edidi, where she got in the argument with Toyama. They that parts of the episode were still funny, but yet they still managed to balance it in that single episode with a good amount of humor, and not even long after the argument itself. So, and I haven't really seen a show that does that much. So, yeah.
That entire scene was like really, really good drama. You were expecting him to end up forgiving her, but instead he just comes right back at her with how bad she screwed him over back in the day.
Yeah.
And that was just something that just seemed like very real in how he handled it. Like there was no tearful, okay, I forgive you. Instead he was like, no, you completely messed me up when you sat there and turned your back on me.
Yeah. Well, continue.
No.
That was just like, that's sort of refreshing just to see that, because, most of the time, I think we even talked about it a couple weeks ago, most of the time, harem leads are just walked all over. And this time it just, sort of addresses that. It's like, we're not going to, it's pretty much, it's like, screw having one protagonist. And it even talks about it most of the time in that episode itself. So, yeah. That's probably, I say probably one of the strongest episodes of the overall season, in my opinion.
I think he might be one of the least dense harem protagonists I've ever seen.
Sure. He's like this big, like, otaku asshole. But the thing is, it comes back at him, no matter what. So they're always going to call him out on something that he does, which is like it's part of the fun of the show sometimes, that he just gets sort of an ass made of himself later on.
And then you're about to go from a super, like, intelligent harem protagonist to Nisekoi season 2. Those discussions are gonna be fun, man.
I'm just gonna have like a knife just stab my hand and take Okay, so but self-torturing tendencies aside, what would you overall score Saekano? At least what appears to be the first half of it. What would you score it?
I gave it a 8.75. Like there was some stuff, like I think most of it would have been fixed if they had both cores.
Mm-hmm.
But for the incomplete first half, it was still really good. Lots of great drama and self-referential comedy, and some really damn memorable characters.
I'd probably score it a little higher than you. I think I might give it a 9 personally. Because like I said, I don't go out of my way to watch harems, and if I do, I still generally have a low opinion of them. But this one, self-referential humor, actual tolerable main protagonist, actual just overall great cast of characters, and just one show. The show was actually pretty good looking, I think, as well. Had a catchy closing and opening, and it's just overall, it's like it's like you said, I was just sort of completely blindsided by the show. So I'd probably give it a 9. personally.
So overall, we give it a 2 thumbs up and a recommendation to watch.
And please, given the choice between watching Nisekoi Season 2 or Saekano Season 1, put off Nisekoi Season 2 and just watch Saekano because it's a much better show.
Alright. Well, I guess, is there anything else you want to talk about Saekano, or shall we move on?
I think yeah.
Got that best girl.
Alright, I guess we'll talk about, start the next show, review on a show that unfortunately started out great, but sort of fell off, midway, The Rolling Girls. This show had so much potential at the beginning, but it just couldn't decide what it wanted to do. Honestly. Like it could, go ahead.
No, continue.
Like it could have decided if it really at some point it should have chose either does it want to be like just nothing but explosions and music video covers and such, or if it actually wanted to plot, because the series itself, it tried to do both, but it didn't really succeed at, doing either really well.
Mm-hmm. I just, I would say a lot of the problems that Rolling Girls had, it was very evident in its finale.
Yeah.
It's sort of like not, especially because I really had no idea what was going on most of the time in the finale, and it was sort of hard for me to be to really feel anything for the characters or like any of the revelations that came in the episode.
Yeah,
because it would have been much better if they were established beforehand.
Yeah, that's the thing. It really didn't establish anything until like the last couple of episodes.
Yeah, like from episode 9, and that's sort of a big problem. Like.
Yeah, I mean,
for the most part, first 2 episodes they put a big focal point on action, and then the next 6 or 7 were mostly focused on like kind of slice of life, and then from episode 9 to episode 12, it's sort of like they started focusing more on a central conflict, which you couldn't really be invested in because there was nothing that established it.
Yeah, they really needed to decide what they were going to do with the show, because it seemed like they were throwing ideas all over the place. Like, is it just going to be a very episodic show where they're always like each new arc they're going to a new place, or does it want an actual main story, or does it just want to be like a turn off your brain, just watch action and music covers?
Yeah. And I actually saw someone make a good point about the Rolling Girls. That if it could have been helped at all, this show would have actually very much benefited for being 24 episodes.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if it would have given them time to develop a story, given them time to develop the characters, maybe flesh out, or one of the big issues that I've talked about or I've had with the show is that sometimes they put more of a focus on the side characters as opposed to the main 4 girls.
I've never really had a problem with that, but it definitely, if they weren't doing the main story, I wouldn't have minded that much, but with that last part where they're actually focusing on the main story, it definitely took a lot away from it.
And that's like I said, I found myself by the end, because of some of the focus on story in the last couple episodes, sort of wishing they had developed the characters a little better from the get-go. Instead, they sort of shined a light on
the side characters, pretty
side
much.
Characters. And
I mean,
just,
some of those side characters are enjoyable. It's just
no, definitely. The one the motorcycle arc, the racing one, the one motorcycle guy who was just always on his motorcycle, even at the press conference,
and always revving it.
I actually saw a tweet I saw the night I finished Rolling Girls. I think it might have been Saturday or Sunday morning. Sort of summed up what I sort of felt about the Rolling Girls. There is undoubtedly a great show in there.
Yeah,
it would just need to be redone.
Yeah, it definitely needs a lot of restructure. I mean, every a lot of the episodes actually were able to just make me feel happy after I finish them, but considering how inconsistent the quality was, it's kind of tough for me to recommend the show.
That's the thing. Is the only way I think I'd recommend it is just sort of to show people a case of, never jump on a show too early. Because that was actually my concern at the beginning of the season. I was like,
well,
I don't want to get too hyped. I was like, I don't want to get too hyped about this because I just have a bad feeling it's going to be sort of like another Makaku City Actors, in that it starts out tremendously promising and then just sort of falls apart at the end. The difference being between those two is that Makaku City Actors had an established story and this one was an original.
Yeah. Me personally, I don't really want to temper myself in when I get hyped at the beginning of a season, but I know for a fact that my opinions at the beginning usually won't be anywhere near the same as my opinions on a series once it ends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But otherwise, the rolling.
What were you gonna score?
Yeah, if you got more to add, go ahead.
I was gonna say that there were certain parts of just the last episode, it was trying to get you to care about certain conflicts, and just sort of throwing them in really quickly, and then also trying to develop the characters at the end with bringing the whole the alien girl, I can't remember what her name is, having known the girls, and that was brought up that was a point brought up earlier in the season, but they never touched upon it until the finale.
Yeah,
it's that, and now and another thing that took away from the last episode is that you could tell that they they were having a hard time with the budget because there were some stills in the action. It was just so awkward.
Yeah,
I was like, you couldn't have those in worse places, and it just helped to just create this weird tone for the last episode that is completely unfortunate.
Yeah.
So I would say the last episode, in a way, was sort of representative as a whole of the series. That it's this mix of things, and they never could quite decide what they wanted to do.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely one of the bigger disappointments. I mean, it's still definitely my favorite series of the season, but it doesn't really have a chance at all for end of the year for me. Score-wise, I'd probably give it a 7, but that's me rating it a bit high. So there's that.
I can't give it any more than a 6. Personally, it's just it's it's pretty much like a curiosity at this point. So if you want to see a show start, like I said, that's pretty much the only way I recommend it. If you want to see a show go from just tremendous promise to just sort of bad, sort of disappointment, essentially, then watch that.
Yeah. And while we're on the subject of a series going from good to bad, let's talk about Tokyo Ghoul. But really, Tokyo Ghoul, Route A, I'd say both it and the Rolling Girls are probably on the same level of inconsistency. Because Tokyo Ghoul, the quality drops and the occasional higher quality episodes, it was just so inconsistent this season. It was alright in the first season, it had its strong points, but then when Route A finally released this season, it's just it started out alright, not exactly great, but then you have this moment where the quality just drops, even the animation feels sticky. I'm just slow, which was especially bad in some of the action scenes. But then it sort of goes up again from some pretty good episodes. Then it takes another nosedive, and then at that point I basically dropped it before it ended, a couple of episodes ago. And I've heard the ending was actually pretty good, but it's just so inconsistent. As far as inconsistency goes, I kind of use it as my own lower scale of inconsistency. It's just some good moments packaged with bad moments. So it's just when I'm comparing a series' inconsistency, I have Tokyo Ghoul on one side, on the lower side, and then I have, like, say, a certain magical index or scientific railgun gun on the higher side, but it's just Tokyo Ghoul was just such a disappointment. Score-wise, I think I gave it like a 5 or 6, Rude A at least, on my anime list, because I just can't recommend it at all to anyone. Let's see. What series do you guys want to talk about next?
Oh my god.
Okay, let's talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Oh god. Whole horse and Boingo in this episode.
Oh my god, the ending, man.
Oh god. Just whole horse sticking his fingers in his nose. Polnareff his nose. And then that one point near the beginning when Boingo's just puking on whole horse.
He's got the most serious expression on his face, too.
And he's like, that's right, get it all out. Oh yeah, you must be airsick. Okay.
This is like the greatest team-up ever.
And then that moment when Boingo has the Olor's roundhouse kick a chick in the back of the head, and he's like, nope, I'm not going to do it. And then as she passes by, he starts sweating, and then runs off and jumps in the air and kicks her in the back of the head.
There's no way that could ever happen, man.
And then she gives him jewels for killing the scorpion. Oh god. And then they did another change for the ending, like they did with the Oingo Boingo episode. With the song.
That manga is so trippy. It's like I took acid before I watched it.
Yeah.
But what are you talking about, Boingo, man? His name is Mandata.
Nope, I'm not calling him that.
even though you actually say Boingo when it's on screen.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how Crunchyroll could get sued for that. I mean, it's just like one half of the name.
Maybe like the game or one of the past things or another did the localization as what they had, and they were going by that. But that doesn't really make much sense.
Yeah, it don't make a lick of sense at all. I want to know how him sticking his fingers up Polnareff's nose it's going to cause them all to pass out bloody.
Who knows?
Knowing JoJo, it could be literally anything at all.
Pretty much.
The only consistency in this series is just how fucking bizarre it is.
Well, that is its name.
Certainly is a bizarre adventure, man. Yes, I want David Productions to just keep on and on doing this till like 2030. I'll be watching it when it's One Piece levels.
Well, currently they're at like 7 chapters, and is it still on? Do you know if it's still the manga's still ongoing?
Yeah, they're on the 8th now.
Oh, they've already moved on to the 8th? Huh.
I think the 8th has been out for a little while.
Huh. Because I could have sworn there was only like 7 JoJos so far. There's like Jonathan, Joseph, Jotaro. I can't remember what the weird-haired guy in the next one is. There's another guy after that. Then there's Jolene, the female JoJo. And then there's that guy in the sailor outfit.
Only in JoJo, man.
Yeah. And it looked like a really short sailor outfit, so his midriff is exposed. Man service. That is basically JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in its shell. It's all the man service.
I went to dinner with Kim and Matt the other day, and we were talking about how everyone's gay for DF.
And Joseph.
Now, who would win a man service contest, Joseph or Dio?
Well,
Who's your
why
pick
not
for the
both?
winner? No, it was Dio all along.
Nonsense. It was Joseph's plan to make you think it was Dio all along.
Yeah, I loved him when he did that in the first season of Stardust Crusaders.
Oh, yeah, that one episode with the what was it, Empress? No, that's Whole Horse's one. I can't
No,
remember.
he was the Emperor. I think it was the Empress.
Yeah, so it was like with the Empress, and he's just making out that plan, and then he just finishes it off with Hammond.
Yeah, that's just been completely irrelevant since the Stardust Crusaders. Like, you haven't heard a lick of that other than that one episode.
Pretty much. It's like pretty much degraded to a useless power, which I'm a bit disappointed by because I actually liked the Hammond stuff in the first two arcs, but the way it is, it's probably not going to be coming back.
Yeah, Hamon just kind of got made utterly pointless by the existence of stands. Like, they're just way OP compared to the old stuff.
Pretty much. But anything else about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
Well, no, it's just still deliciously bizarre.
And it'll continue to be bizarre until the end, whenever that is.
The most bizarre thing would be if we got a completely normal anime episode one time.
JoJo's completely normal adventure.
Abdul running to school with toast in his mouth.
But that's completely against his character.
That boob growth is still the greatest thing in the world.
But anyways, I guess moving on, Log Horizon.
Thank God it's over.
I actually want more.
Season 3 now.
I'm actually with JJ there.
Yeah, like I might not be as pushing for it because right now I think we're pretty much caught up with the light novels. But I definitely want another season down the road because honestly, Log Horizon is one of the few series I've actually seen that actually understands MMOs and uses the setting to its fullest. Like even though the season had a lot of slower moments, it still had a lot of pretty great moments as well, and a lot of fun ones as well. Let's see, like the whole stuff with the raids and stuff. Like they actually knew what they were talking about, and by that I mean at least unlike a certain other series we won't be mentioning. Yeah. But, any other thoughts on Log Horizon?
I thought actually in that second half started getting really strong.
Yeah, like the whole stuff with, like the knights with their, temple that makes them, revive, like their mobile temple, but they're actually trying to die so they could relive their past. Sort of like an escapism from the from what they've now come to call reality. But and how Toya reacts to them and sort of basically trying to establish that even the people of the lands are just as real as the players. And just really a lot of the interactions with the people of the land in that arc were pretty good. Like the whole world developing with the translator and the like the songs and stuff, like that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And later on how they handled the trying to get back to the trying to contact the moon and trying to find a way to get back to reality, but then deciding like that part at the very end where he's like, no, we're not going to choose, we're going to link both worlds together. Like that was an interesting thing. Like it was not exactly interesting like what could have been done, but it's a lot more different than other shows try to do. Like, it's either you want to get out or you want to stay in, but it's like, why do we have to choose?
Mm-hmm.
And I will admit, the whole thing with Rotu and like aliens felt a bit on the side to me. Like, I feel like they could have established it better, but then again, the series is ongoing, so they might develop it more later.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like for every step forward that's made that seemed like it was a good idea, they always took 2 steps backwards with it.
yeah, I mean,
Like the Akatsuki arc was still one of the most boring things I've seen this season. And like, go ahead.
Well, when you've got like as many steps as it's taken forward, it still has a lot of steps forward, even after all the steps it took back.
Well, I mean, I don't think it was terrible, but it definitely felt like a step down after the first season, which was a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember that many parts that just drag on slowly.
Well, actually, I actually do remember a lot. There were a lot more, like, building up to moments, but they also had a lot of moments that were just sort of took that build up and actually made it feel like it was worthwhile. With Season 2, I will admit it didn't quite go on to the grand scale that the first season did. Like, it sort of did at certain parts, but by and large, it definitely felt a bit slower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want a third season, because I felt it could only keep going downhill if they just kept on churning it out.
Yeah. Though, I imagine they'll probably wait another year or two if they do announce a third season.
It's probably going to be longer, honestly, because they are completely caught up with the light novels now.
Yeah.
I'd like a third season, if not just to get the answer why how Krusty wound up in the China server.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about. They just kind of threw him in like at the very end, like, oh shit, we haven't talked anything about Krusty.
He's like, hey guys, I'm over here.
Yeah, it felt like they just threw him in at the end because they forgot that he existed. Like, oh, we still gotta provide resolution. Here he is.
Say
out
hi,
of our
Krusty.
hands now. He's just walking around with the arm.
A twitching arm.
Oh my god, it would have been the best thing ever if he had said, "Can I give you a hand?"
Or he just adjusted his glasses with the arm.
That would be kind of gruesome, dude. This boy had a disembodied arm to push up his glasses with. It's messed up.
Or if they ever meet up with Shiroe again, just go the yaoi route and just start having just have like implications or whatever, and have Krusty adjust Shiroe's glasses for him.
And Akatsuki just looking on with staring daggers at him. My lord, no! Don't go the boys' love route. But yeah, overall, I gave Log Horizon 2 like a 7.25.
Yeah, I think I either gave it an 8 or an 8.5 for me.
I'll probably be right 8, more than likely. I enjoyed it, but it did have its sort of very drag. It did have quite a few moments that just dragged on. But yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Okay then, I guess moving on, we'll talk about a different series. I guess I'll talk about Death Parade then. Death Parade, I'll admit the series could near pretentious every now and then, but it sort of always came out interesting enough with its different storylines that it never really actually crossed into pretentious. But my main issue with it is that, well, I didn't feel like it, or the main issue I had with it is I didn't really feel like I got much out of it. Like, it actually felt like it was trying to build to some sort of interesting conceptual stuff or something. But when I got to the end, while I will admit it was a satisfying end, I didn't really get much interesting stuff out of it to examine. Like, it might require additional viewings, but overall it was just didn't quite do as well for me as other series did. I mean, overall the series itself was exceptionally good. I will admit there were it had plenty of arcs that were really interesting, but altogether as a series itself, it was just sort of disappointing to me. I'd probably give it either an 8 or a 7.5 myself. But that's all I have for that.
Oh, Alex.
Mm.
Charlie's new tweet. My God, Nisekoi is so infuriating, but I can't seem to want to stop watching it.
Oh boy.
She's
poor
basically
Charli.
you now.
Hold on a minute.
You gotta post the auto picture, man.
Should I pause or?
Hold on. No. Keep on going. Just keep it going. Just talk about something. Actually, I'm trying to remember if I have gotten a new computer since that, so I'm not even sure if I have it anymore. It's a problem. I'll look for it, so give me a minute.
I don't think I have anything else to talk about, unless you want to hear my thoughts on Garo, but those can
go ahead. Just do that.
It was a bit. The series was enjoyable, kind of dark at times, but tended to be a bit on the Sentai sort of action feel to it, so the action wasn't always especially fantastic, but overall it was, I really should have wrote stuff down for that if I knew we were going to be talking about it.
You're like, what did I get into, man?
We should... Hey, I blame you, stranger. You were the one who talked about Charlie's tweet.
Oh, I've been wondering, by the way, what exactly is Sentai?
Sentai, it's sort of like Power Rangers and stuff.
God.
You know, that sort of live-action sort of absurdity sort of thing.
So it's an anime live-action absurdity?
Well, it is based on a live-action series, actually. But the action itself sort of resembles it, sort of. Well, sometimes it has actually good, enjoyable action that isn't quite Sentai feeling, but... I mean, the whole concept of it being set in, like, a Spanish Inquisition, where people are basically executed very violently if they're called witches, and people who succumb to their emotions eventually turn into, like, these demonic monsters, who usually sort of look like Sentai monsters. Yeah. But
sounds kind of super cheesy.
It is... It has moments where it's super cheesy, and then it has moments where it's actually very interesting. But it's just sort of that inconsistency between them that can be sort of annoying, because some of the characters are really well developed, but at the same time, some of the storyline feels a bit sometimes cheesy, sometimes interesting, so it's pretty inconsistent.
Oh yeah, wasn't Twin Tails a Sentai show?
Twin Tails. A little bit.
Where he transforms
pretty
into
much.
Tail Red, man.
Yeah, it was.
You might have to give it a second look.
Nope.
I'm still determined to get you to finish Himegato and Momokyun.
Never!
You're one episode from the end on both.
Never!
Don't you want to be Adam?
Never!
You should have, JJ. You should have finished that one really weird CGI series that came out, that dancing one.
That wasn't all CGI, but never. The dancing was CGI.
And,
everything
by the
else
way,
was animation,
You have
and
many
that one was
skeletons
by
in your
Toei,
closet,
so
don't you?
no.
By the way, Charli approves of the picture.
You got many skeletons in your anime closet, don't you, JJ?
Well, so do you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, come now. You have a whole shit ton in your closet. I believe the most recent one was Kiss Sis.
No regrets.
Yes, you do. You regret every one of them.
I'll marathon it tonight. Just you watch. Okay.
I'm
And
holding
that's the
you to
last
that
day.
now.
Oh, no.
You are going to do that now, stranger.
I watched it the day you marathon Rokibu.
Okay, fine. We'll agree to ceasefire. Alright.
So do we have any more simulcasts?
Yes, see,
Seven
the
Dead-
7 Deadly Sins. Honestly, outside of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, this has been one of the funnest shonen series I've watched in a while.
Yeah, it's pretty much how I feel because, speaking from I reading One Piece, it's easily the best one. Like you probably have a lot of people say that Fairy Tail is like one of the best shonen series, which I say go to hell because honestly that show can be or that just series can be just terrible sometimes. I actually recently stopped reading it, but it was so it ended really well. I was actually impressed with how well it ended. It leaves it open for the possibility of a return to the series. I'm not sure when they're going to do that because apparently I swear that I read something that they only just the person who does the manga only just finished the what they were focusing on in the show.
Yeah, all I know is they still haven't revealed the last of the 7 Deadly Sins, so they obviously haven't gotten that much into the new arc. So, yeah, there's that. But, yeah, I will admit at the beginning the show was pretty rough. Like, all that pointless groping Meliodas did, it was kind of overboard at times. But after a while, they sort of started once they added new characters and developing the characters they have and toned down the whole dumb stuff with that, the dumb groping stuff, it really got good. Like, it was, like, there were so many fun characters in the series.
Yeah.
Like, Ban, King, Diane, Gila, just... Even Hawk was really enjoyable of a character, and he's like the useless mascot character. Or, I suppose not so useless at the end, but yeah. Also, they do not explain anything about him, why he can talk or why he survived at the end.
Why he's small. Well, I don't know. Why he's also small now.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining, it's adorable, but... Yeah.
It's like they're just not going to explain anything about him. He's just a talking pig who can survive death.
And they also just never explain why they wander around on a giant traveling pig.
They don't even mention that at all, and they at least mention the fact that the pig can talk.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like it has so many enjoyable moments. If it wasn't for the rough start, I probably would have given it like a 9 or so, but I think an 8 is more its territory for me.
I'd say for me 8.75 or 9.
Yeah.
I had a really good time watching it.
Yeah, but it definitely ended on a really satisfying note. I will agree with you with that. Like, all the characters really felt developed by the end, and all the stuff at the end felt really satisfying. Like the whole part in the middle where basically Meliodas is taking all that damage and he's basically using it as his final move, his like revenge counter or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't really say it at first, but you could sort of figure that out, but it felt really well done to me, the way they showed it. And then there's all the epilogue stuff, and it's like, and that part with the king and her sisters are like, the 7 Deadly Sins are going to start their own country now, and he's basically like, Millie just left so he wouldn't have to say, hey, had the hard time of saying goodbye to you. And then Millie just comes in on the King Hawk, or Mother Hawk, and basically takes Elizabeth with him, and it's like, to the king's surprise. Like, that was the series had a lot of enjoyable moments, and the characters really did feel like they were well developed for a shonen series.
I actually found it really funny. Almost the entire episode, whenever they cut to Gother, he's always just like posing.
Yeah, posing, and it's like, oh yeah, and they didn't even explain why he can survive death. It's like, why can he survive with his head cut off?
I think I actually saw some. I might have actually accidentally swallowed myself. I was looking at some stuff earlier, and someone said he was like created by somebody. I'm not sure whether that's true or not, but yeah.
It'll be interesting, because I definitely plan on reading the manga for sure. Because it's definitely one of the series I want to see more of.
Yeah, I'd like to. I'm just not sure when I can get around to it.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. Like, I have a tough time pretty much getting to any manga since I'm usually doing other stuff. But if I get the chance, I'll definitely keep up with it. Excuse me. But, let's see, any other simulcasts to talk about?
Nothing really important, but Shirobako also ended. I actually think you too should go back and watch that eventually, because from the fall season, it's probably one of the most consistently good anime. And
I never started it, but I do plan on eventually watching it. It's just lower on the list for me.
And I was going to say, episode 23 of the show actually has, and Adam could testify to this because he also watches the show. Episode 23 had probably one of the best like emotional moments in like the last couple seasons. I actually teared up because of it. That's something kind of rare. I never really get too emotional watching things. And overall, it was probably one of the most solid shows from fall. And just sort of shame we never really talked about it on here. Besides like the first few episodes.
Yeah, like I've heard it's really gotten good. It's not really high on my list yet, but it's definitely on the list of shows I'm eventually going to check out. But, any other shows you want to talk about, or is that all?
Yeah, I got nothing.
Alright. Okay then, I guess we'll move on to our week's and general anime discussion. So, before we get started on anything else, holy shit, that TIE Fighter short film is freaking amazing. Like, I literally watched it, I don't even have the number of times I've watched it, because I've watched it so many times.
What are you talking about?
You've not seen that TIE Fighter anime short?
No.
Oh god, you've got to watch it. It's basically like this short, like 7-minute film by one animator guy, but it's done in sort of not like a 80s style anime visuals, sort of shading and stuff, and it's all by one guy, which makes it that much more impressive considering the quality of it. Like, it's really, really high quality.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out later.
Yeah, it's just go to YouTube and look up TIE Fighter short.
I know it's somewhere in my history, but I never watched it. I saw some of the animation. That's pretty good, but...
And today is the day...
Say again?
Today is the day JJ is disappointed in us.
Well, I'm always disappointed in all of you, so there is that. Continuously disappointed. But yeah, it's
Notice me, senpai?
I will never notice you. Who are you people? Get away from me! Oh shit, I just noticed you. Crap. But yeah, like it was all done by one guy over the course of 4 years, or I think it was like 4 years and weekends, but that's still really impressive. And it also got me to watch The Legend of the Galactic Heroes after Adam recommended it to me, which has been thus far pretty entertaining of a series. It's like a series from the 80s, but it's very heavy on the space opera, sort of, like sort of showing you the different tactics both commanders tended to use in like a space battle, sort of. So it definitely scratches that itch that TIE Fighter short film had on me. The one thing I will say about The Legend of the Galactic Heroes, it's pretty uncomfortable how like America one of the sides is, like in all the crappy ways. Like, we'll send troops who are most likely die entirely for political means against, like, this big empire, which is kind of how which is what the politicians on basically the Americas, sort of, Space America, they're like called the Allied Space Forces or whatever, and it's just, the whole setting of it is just sort of uncomfortable to me. Like, the other side, it's basically space Perugia, so I can sort of separate myself from it, but the Allied forces, it's just, all the stuff they do just feels a bit uncomfortable to me. In a good way, I suppose, but still. And the series doesn't really frame either side as the good or bad guys. It just sort of looks at them from a separate point of view from the two main protagonists, who are both really intelligent and really interesting characters. Like the Empire guy, he sort of has a Lelouch feel to him, where he's trying to do stuff for the greater good, like trying to basically bring peace through less than ethical means sometimes. Like, he's more of an ends justify the means character at times, whereas the other character who's on the Allied forces, he tries to do good by people, but he's sort of serving slightly more. He's basically serving a more corrupt side at times compared to the Empire, but they're both really, really interesting characters, and how it frames each battle, like how it shows how the ships would move, like sort of flank upwards or try to do a new formation to pierce through the enemy lines. It can be very, very interesting of a series. Just how it depicts, the space naval battles, and how the different commanders react and stuff. It's definitely a really interesting series. But see, other stuff other than that, just been really playing more Final Fantasy XIV, and pretty much that's about it.
Have you ran into Jotaro in it this time?
What?
Have you ran into Jotaro in it this time?
Nope. Can't say I have, unfortunately, and I haven't really seen Joseph or Dio that much.
Oh, you don't know this because I just had my mic muted, but the phone rang.
Damn
I
it!
avoided it, Alex.
I send my phone juju to you. Notice that last time, not this time so far, I just said cursed it just now, and last time there wasn't any phone rings. We've been lucky. We've been extremely lucky. The phone would ring just now, I'd be like, fuck, and there's
That would be the greatest thing ever.
It's like, I hate this phone almost as much as I hate Nisekoi.
Hey, Alex, what's your phone number?
Confidential.
Okay.
It rhymes with one of the Nisekoi characters.
It's I love Chitoge.
Raku would be afraid to answer the phone.
Let's see. How about you, stranger?
Well, I watched the first 4 episodes of Elfen Lied. And I was going to marathon it, but I can only take so much stupidity at once.
Yeah.
Like, I'm liking it, but it's just some of the characters are like the dumbest pieces of shit in the world.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's saying something because you watch Nisekoi.
No, they far outstrip Nisekoi.
Yeah, they're really dumb.
Like at one point, this one homeless girl runs in the middle of a battle, like super-powered battle between these two, I don't even know what they're called.
Demons or something?
Yeah, something like that. Oh, please stop fighting. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a very intelligent path to take. And that main girl, she wants to keep punching the dude in the face because he doesn't remember some sort of carnival or something. When right after that, his dad and sister died. But no, he's a baka.
That is pretty stupid. I remember my brother either started reading or watching that, and I remember him liking it, but he never finished it.
Yeah, I started it for a while, but it was just, it didn't really work that well. Well, besides the fact that it wasn't really something I would like to begin with, it just, like Stranger said, the characters were pretty damn stupid, and overall I just didn't really like the way it was paced.
Picture a show where everyone is like slightly lower intelligence than Raku. Picture that, Alex. Now that's what this is so far.
It's quite a feat.
Yes, I'm actually impressed that they managed to do that. Everyone is just completely oblivious and just stupid as hell. And like after 4 episodes, I was like, I can't take this. I'm gonna have to go browse a science subreddit or something. Just gotta get my intelligence quotient back up a little bit. Oh my god! But other than that, it's like somewhat enjoyable so far. But I honestly don't think I'm gonna be crazy about it when all is said and done. It's a lot like Brynhilde, which was a series from last spring.
Yeah, well, I think
Brynhilde.
it was like written by the same person,
Yeah.
maybe.
And it's basically a lot of the same ideas.
Yeah.
And to put that into perspective, I dropped Brynhilde because I just kind of lost interest 8 episodes in. But yeah, I might have more, like a different opinion by the time I finish it. But so far, it's not that great. And other than that, like, I went to Ali Dreamrunner's house, and we marathoned all of Steins Gate. Like, we were going to watch one episode. He said, okay, one more episode because I'm kind of interested. 24
Okay.
episodes later.
And we have a new member of the, what's it called again?
The
Future Gadgets Lab.
Future Gadgets
Yep.
Lab.
It was funny, too, because I got some Dr. Pepper out of his fridge.
And you were just pretty much live tweeting the whole thing, or not the entire time. We're like, okay, 5 episodes down. We're at episode 12. And then you just like say, we have opened the gate of Steiner or whatever.
Yeah, he was so excited for the entire series. He ended up giving it a 10 out of 10 too. And then he followed that up by showing me Steven Universe, and he said that was so depressing as a follow-up. He said he was really regretting that. Like, I still have not come across anyone who does not love Steins Gate. Higurashi I might like better, but like Steins Gate has more wide appeal.
Yeah. Like, I've not seen very many people. I mean, I know they're out there, but I just choose to believe they don't exist.
They're on a different timeline, man.
They are certainly not on this timeline, that's for sure.
See, we're on the Steins Gate timeline where everyone ends up loving the show.
Pretty much. They are on the crappy beta and alpha timelines.
Oh, also, when I was at dinner with Cam and Matt, I ordered a Dr. Pepper and started going full Halloween Kiyama with it.
Well, it is the intellectual elixir of mad scientists everywhere.
I was just holding up in the air going full, I am mad scientist, it's so cool, son of a bitch. God, that show is so damn quotable.
Pretty much.
But that's about it for my week.
Alright. Alex?
Really haven't been doing much. I actually got back to writing, because if you didn't see, Blog Herding was back for GIO, and actually, for the longest time, since at least December, I haven't, besides like podcast posts and the fantasy football stuff, I just haven't been inspired to write. That's actually a big problem for me last year, and they introduced like it's pretty much like a writing prompt. It's actually, they call it Blog Herding Challenge, pretty much. And actually gave me something to write about. So for most of the week, since at least Thursday, I was focusing on writing something about Wind Waker, because I never finished that, and that's pretty much the topic that you're supposed to tackle, games you regret never finishing. So that's what I'm doing that. If not that, I was probably just playing either Vis or Elder Scrolls or Lost Planet, which isn't really a bad. It's a good game, but it's very dull story
Yeah, I
style.
remember Lost Planet. It was pretty dull. It was dull, but I sort of liked the grappling hook mechanic, and some of the mechs were pretty fun, but otherwise the game was pretty dull.
And then not that like I'd actually taken a bit of a break from my 3DS because I've been mostly focusing on catching up on everything because these last couple of weeks of the winter season I just have fallen behind and everything. I'm still like 6 episodes behind on Maria the Virgin Witch, but finally got back to the 3DS. Been playing Bravely Default and Inazuma 11, and then outside of that, just started continuing Love Lab, which I could have finished last night, but I just wasn't in the mood for it. And also, I've been listening to quite a number of new albums, which I'll just save that for the recommendation section.
All right, is that all?
Yeah.
All right, I guess we'll move on to news and topics. So
And holy shit, do we have some news?
Oh yeah, big science adventure news. So first up, Steins Gate Zero, an official sequel to Steins Gate, has both a visual novel and anime confirmed to be in the works.
Woo!
So yay, science! And additionally, next up, Chaos Child, anime confirmed in the works as well. And what?
What was that you said on Twitter where you were like something else got an anime way before Chaos Child did?
No, I think that was. I was first I was saying like Chaos Child was getting an anime long before. Alright, no, I was saying Steins Gate Zero was probably getting a anime long before Chaos Child was, and then like several minutes later I saw the news that Chaos Child got an anime, and I was like, I stand corrected.
We're like, well, dude, I'll put my foot in my mouth.
That's pretty much what I said. In addition to those anime news, 2 new science adventure visual novels that exist outside the combined universe of Steins Gate, Chaos Head, Chaos Child, and Roblox Notes have been announced. The first is Anonymous Code, which, from near as I can tell from the plot summary, or the summary of what it is, it sounded like it had something to do with, like, in the future, like they created a program to calculate what would happen in a couple of years, since there's supposed to be like some big event. But the thing is, in that simulation, there people in it, like it inadvertently creates people in that simulation, and those people create a supercomputer and start questioning the fuck out of their existence. And then there was something about the main character being able to hack God and save and load his life or something. So it just sounded interesting as hell to me. And then another visual novel was announced as well, called Occultic 9, which, as the name implies, is about 9 people who investigate the occult, from near as I can tell.
Needs more semicolons.
It's like a flood of semicolons. It's like everyone who's doing the news on that has to put in so many semicolons, they're basically a programmer at this point. They can basically write C++ as far as I'm concerned. But
yeah, what do you think of the plotline of Steins Gate Zero from what we've seen so far?
From near as I can tell, isn't it like on the basically on a timeline where Okabe never encountered Makise Kurisu?
No, it's on the beta world line where Okabe couldn't save Kurisu.
Then I'm not quite sure how they'll handle it, but it could be very, very interesting. Because you never know, they might be taking it. If it's a new, full-on new sequel, then it could go any way it wants to. But I think it could be really interesting.
Yeah, the only thing I'm worried about is that it might start coming up with some more problems with the time travel.
Yeah.
Like, if you revisit a time travel media too much, you can end up tearing in some plot holes.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem, because the way the original series ends, it ends satisfying with pretty much everything pretty much explained perfectly enough. Like, you didn't really have... Like, they didn't go overflow on the information regarding the time travel, but they gave you enough that it felt explained well enough. But if they go into more detail, it could get complicated.
And, like, the Steins Gate movie actually did open up one issue, I noticed, but...
Yeah, that's what I've heard, is the movie sort of raises more questions than it does answer them, and it just sort of lackluster in that department.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't call the overall movie lackluster, because I still love the hell out of it.
Yeah.
But it did raise a big question at the end that I don't feel like you can reasonably answer. Which, like, you haven't seen that yet, so...
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the dub release of the movie, so yeah, I definitely haven't seen it yet.
You'll be waiting on that longer than Spice and Wolf 3?
No, they already announced the dub, like, way back when they announced, like, that Funimation picked up Haruhi and stuff. They announced the dub, both the dub for that, and, what else did they announce? I know they announced something else with it. It might have just been Haruhi and the announce of the dub. But yeah, it could be like another year or so for that, for all I know. But I'm willing to wait, because that's the thing I liked about Steins Gate ending. It ended satisfyingly enough that I wasn't in a rush to, like, go more into it with other stuff. Like, I wasn't really charging into, like, the visual novel or the or any of the offshoot manga or whatever, because the ending of the series ended satisfyingly enough. Like, the only other series that did that for me was Code Geass, which also had a really solid ending that ended satisfyingly. But as soon as the dub does come out, I'll definitely be watching it for sure.
Oh, and you just mentioned the visual novel. I might actually end up breaking down and buying the Saekano edition for the Vita.
Yeah, I purchased the collector's edition when it came out on PC, but now I'm sort of disappointed because I'm not getting that Metal Upa.
One man, it can save the world.
Like, I mean, I have the pins that came with it and the fan book and stuff, but that Metal Upa, man.
Yeah, I might end up getting that, and that's going straight up on my shelf. I wear the one of the lab member pins right next to my The World Is With You pin.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like, I think $75, and it's only in England, but it has worldwide shipping for free.
Yeah, I mean, my collector's edition was just $60, so that's like only $15 more for that Metal Upa.
Yeah, it comes with a Vita copy of the game, the Metal Upa, 2 pins, and like 150-page fan book.
Yeah, like I said, the fan book and the pins were in the PC collector's edition, but that Metal Upa, I don't even own a Vita, and I kind of want it.
Well, it's got the... Oh, wait, you didn't have a PS3 either, do you?
Nope.
Oh, well then you just should have looked.
Yeah.
Buy a Vita. You can buy Versailles on it.
Never! Or at least... Yeah. But anyways...
what do you think about the Chaos Child anime? Are you going to end up watching it?
Oh, yeah, of course I'm going to be watching it. It's just, I'm not going to be... I won't have as high of expectations for it as the... obviously as the Steins Gate Zero anime, but I'm sure they'll probably do it better than they did Chaos Head. Because I'm sure they've... then again, they've not announced to which studio is doing it, have they?
No, there hasn't been no studio announcements yet, I don't think.
Yeah, even if it is Madhouse again, I'm sure they'll improve, because Madhouse, while I admit some of their stuff is inconsistent, is a really solid studio. So I'm sure even if they do have another crack at it, they'll probably do it a lot better than Chaos Head. Man,
I still feel like the one of the only 2 people who like the Chaos Head anime.
It started out alright. Like, I did like how they sort of portrayed the main character's paranoia, but as it went along, it was just so disappointing to me. Like, they pretty much had to explain everything. Like, they had to monologue basically everything just to explain stuff, and they were doing more telling than showing, and the whole harem stuff, and it felt a lot more laid on than in Steins Gate or Robotics Notes, so it definitely felt more harem-y as well. Just overall, it just kind of felt disappointing to me. Like, it was still an alright show, it just wasn't like, oh my god, this is fantastic, like both Steins Gate and Robotics Notes were.
Yeah, I think I gave it an 8.0 out of 10.
Yeah, I think I was like 7 to 7.5 for me.
Yep. Yeah, don't get me wrong, it was rushed as hell, but it was still a lot of fun.
Yeah. Then again, it was also like much more condensed than both Steins Gate and Robotics Notes, so it could also be how the adaptation was handled as well. Like, the original visual novel was probably several times better than it, but it's really did felt it didn't feel like they had enough time on it.
Yeah, I can actually let you know that because I got the Chaos Head visual novel downloaded, and I'm going to be playing it soon.
Like, generally, I've heard that it's definitely just the adaptation that was disappointing. Like, I will admit I wasn't as big on like the whole science, the fringy science stuff, horror stuff they had going on in it. But I'm sure if it was handled better, it would have been more interesting to me.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, well, yep, there's all that news, and let's see, next up, Seven Seas has acquired the license to the Scientific Railgun and Magical Index spin-off manga, A Certain Scientific Accelerator, and the first volume is going to be released in October, with Volume 2 to be released in January 2016. I'm probably the only one who has watched either of those shows, so I'm probably the only one who has much to comment on it. But let's see, next up, the One Punch Man teaser was released last week, and I can safely say it is completely perfect.
Mm-hmm. I love his voice.
Yeah,
I'm already loving the voice.
And
perfect.
the way Madhouse did the animation, it's like the backgrounds are all fantastic, and then when you get to Suritama, it's like this really deadpan, sort of lower quality animation. It just fits the manga perfectly.
Yeah.
It just looks fantastic.
Yeah.
But let's see. Next up on news, let's see if I can find it. Noragami Season 2 has been announced. Which I'm fairly certain I'm also the only one who's watched that here outside of Adam, who is not here, unfortunately.
Yeah, I haven't.
He's never here.
I intend to watch it, but like one of them haven't gotten around to yet.
It's definitely, like, honestly, it's probably the closest series I could call to Soul Eater. Like, it just feels like a sort of, it's like Soul Eater, but slightly more serious in certain parts, and with sort of a holic theme to it, but it's really a fantastic series. And it has so many funny moments. Like, there's just this one moment where the characters are basically talking to this guy while they're falling from a tower as he's trying to commit suicide, and they just keep falling, and two of the characters keep commenting on, hey, is this tower really tall or what? And they're just holding this normal conversation and having like a flashback while they're falling midair. It's just freaking hilarious. And it's definitely a series that benefits from a second season. Plus, the soundtrack is really, really good. Like, there's this one track that just reminds me so much of the World Ends With You soundtrack. It's like the track is like called The One, and it's just so reminiscent of The World Ends With You to me.
Okay, you have my interest.
Yeah. And, well, the soundtrack is by Taku Iwazaki, who also did the Soul Eater soundtrack, so there's that as well. But it's just a really good soundtrack to it. And all the characters are pretty fun. But, yeah, Season 2 in the works for that, and I do not believe I have any other news.
Apparently there's stirrings of a Zero Escape 3 rumor.
Yeah. Wait, there's another rumor, or was that several weeks ago?
I mean, Will's on Twitter right now talking about how the site keeps updating with more and more clues that it's actually Zero Escape 3 they're announcing.
Oh, another news I forgot to mention. Funimation has licensed Ninja Slayer.
Fuck Funimation.
I'm still waiting for them.
Well,
I really want them to license Blood Blockade Battlefront, because if they do, because right now I'm kind of worried, because it's starting to feel like another spring 2014 where like they picked up like only Soul Eater Not, and then ignored that one series everyone was guessing they'd pick up. Like, I mean, what was it, like Captain Planet or whatever? I mean, the series itself wasn't that good, but it just seemed so much like a series Funny would pick up. And this season they've picked up that Show by Rock series, which looks like it's basically the same thing as Soul Eater Not was, like that low quality Moe series Bones put out alongside their higher quality animated series.
No, man, you want to know what the Soul Eater Not of this season looks like? It looks like it's going to be the Yuki Nagado anime.
Yeah, there is that, too.
Like, they moified the shit out of, Keon, and oh my goodness, that design looks terrible. That looks like sub-Soul Eater Not type designs.
Pretty much.
Oh my god.
I'm still going to watch the first episode, but, well, I suppose I never really had that high of hopes for it, but but after watching the trailer, my hopes are really lower than they were before.
And I mean, coming after Disappearance, man.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, it's not KyoAni, so there is that, but even then...
It's like they're trying to stomp on any of my expectations.
Well, there's a whole bunch of other stuff to keep you busy, so there is that.
Plastic Memories? Anime of the Year? Oh, wait, no, I can't even say that. No. Damn it, Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte got announced for the summer season. That's some news. So, now I don't give a shit about the spring season. Summer season, all I need is Charlotte and the Dirty Jokes anime.
Mm-hmm. You gotta check out Prison School, too. I want to see what you guys think of that.
What you mean, that horribly ecchi series?
That you mentioned was, like, nearly hentai?
At times, yeah. But I think you guys... I know JJ, for a matter of fact, might just completely hate it, but... I think there's a humor I think you would like. Stranger in that series is pretty... I can't wait for... I'm hoping it's good.
Well, now we know what kind of the series Alex likes. Hey, have you ever heard of High School of the Dead, Alex?
Yeah.
Okay. I like how you didn't even trying to say, oh no, I would never watch it. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Well, I haven't watched it, but I've heard of it.
Oh, and I think we were talking last time about how there's not an actual abbreviation for the Dirty Jokes anime. Everyone's calling it Shimaseka now.
I'm just going to abbreviate it as Dirty Jokes anime. It's just easy enough for me.
But Shimaseka, man.
Dirty Jokes anime.
that don't sound near as rolling off the tongue.
Yeah, but anyways, any other news?
Basically, we've just established that this week was the best ever in news.
Pretty much.
Oh, I have one more, but I haven't been able to investigate it to make sure it's not an April Fool's joke.
Well, it's not April Fool's yet.
Like I haven't seen a million jokes already. But it doesn't look like when Key announced a new kinetic novel called Harmonia. And from what I can tell, it doesn't look like a joke because they first announced it a couple months ago, and they just now released a preview. So, more key VMs. Yay, you ready to hear me fanboy some more?
But we hear you fanboy every day.
Spend hundreds of hours just playing that.
130 hours long in a rewrite. Charli's playing it now. She's turned into me.
Pretty much.
Any second now, she'll be posting Lay Lenny faces at all of you.
Yee.
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 Bok, 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 bok.
Yee.
Oh, God. That dinosaur face is just so messed up.
Okay, then.
We should probably move on.
Yeah, we should move on. We're already talking about Yee, so we should move on. Alright.
That's how you know we've lost focus.
Okay, let's move on. General recommendations. So, how about you, Alex?
Well, I'm trying to remember. Is this like encompassing everything, or we have separate for anime?
Nope, encompassing everything.
Talked about it earlier that it doesn't seem like people watched Shirobako enough, so that's probably my anime recommendation for this week. Not sure if I'm being recommended in the game. I will recommend 2 albums that I listened to last week. One is Kendrick Lamar's "To Pimp a Butterfly," and it's probably, and I know the name sounds really stupid, but it's probably one of the best rap albums I've heard in a long time.
Just don't be pimping any caterpillars. Those are underage. No, don't.
Sage advice, JJ. But like I said, it starts out like it's more.
Cast. Don't pimp caterpillars.
There are sections that are sort of like a combination of poetry and like jazz elements and whatnot, but also in the beginning, the first half is a little artsy, but like I went back and listened to it, it's pretty good. But especially the second half is just like so solid. There's like not a bad song, and like the 9-song run to finish out the album, and then the other album I'll be recommending is Carrion Lowell by Sufjan Stevens. He's pretty much sort of like an alternative indie artist, and it's probably one of his more like acoustic works in a while. And it's pretty much an album that's sort of covering him, and it's like pretty much coping with his mother's death and him sort of coping with like stuff from his like childhood or growing up. It's part of it's also about like his stepfather too, and it's probably another solid album from this year. That like if you pay attention to the lyrics, you're probably gonna. It's a pretty emotional album, so that's all I got.
All right, me. Well, first I'm obviously going to recommend that TIE Fighter short film that was released like last week. Because honestly, it's so freaking well animated, and if you know, like the amount of detail they go into, like he went into drawing like the cockpits of the TIE fighters and all doing like all the stuff with like the Interceptor Star Destroyer, like activating its gravity well and basically flinging all those missiles around. It's just everything about it just. So much detail on the expanded universe of Star Wars, and it's just so well animated. It's just such a fun little short, and like if you like Star Wars in any way, or if you just like watching something that's really, really, really well animated, I highly recommend watching that. And it's on YouTube, and it's just look up TIE Fighter short film, and it'll be the first result you'll get. Like, I think it was, like, at 3 million views last time I checked. And that was, like, it hasn't even been a week yet. Or, no, it has been a week, but just, like, 2 million... I know at least 2 million of that were in, like, the first couple of days. But, let's see, what I guess I'll... outside of that, I guess I will... I'll just repeat my recommendations of Final Fantasy XIV, because even though I'm almost finished with the main storyline after hundreds and hundreds of hours, it's like still got its addiction grip on me. Like, it's just such a fun game.
Who's the one who copies their recommendations now, huh, JJ?
Hey, I said it. I would copy it. You never really realized if you copied your recommendations or not.
Oh, no, I didn't.
But outside of that, I guess just listen to any soundtrack by Taku Iwasaki. That's my music of the week, because I just love his... Like, all of his soundtracks are fantastic. Like, I just can't pick one song I like the most from him. I mean, I have certainly my favorites. Like, there are certainly really good songs off of Jormungand OST. Like, there's this one sort of like rapping song done in French. Like, I think it's like called Les Ambitions Mélodiques or something, and it's just really, really good. And then like there are a couple of songs off of Katana Gatari's soundtrack, and of course, obviously, like, Gurren Lagann and had a lot of great songs, and pretty much any soundtrack by him usually has at least one song that is just fantastic. And that's all I've got. So how about you, stranger?
I recommend following It's Charli.
Yes, I second that. Follow It's Charli on Twitter.
She's basically female me on all her tastes. Like, within the past week, she's watched some of Higurashi, Angel Beats, Nisekoi, Madoka Magica. She watched Steins Gate the other week. She's playing Rewrite. So, yeah. Everyone's like, oh my god, not another stranger now. Why would you inflict this on the world?
We're already screwed with just one on the world. Why would you give us two?
Oh, I have clones all over. They'll be taken over by an army of strangers.
But they're all weaker than you, so there is that.
Don't worry, they'll all be bringing pink-haired yanderas with them.
Damn it. We're completely screwed now.
And they have big eyebrows so they can distract you.
Damn it! I can't send them in for reconditioning. I'm just too distracted by those eyebrows.
Okay. And then I also just recommend buying a Vita. Because, like, if you're in a niche where you like RPGs and VNs, it kind of blows any other system out the water. But if you're outside that niche, then you're not going to get any use out of it whatsoever. But yeah, we got Steins Gate releasing this year for it. Grisea Nekijitsu. Then there's the Persona games. I'm sure y'all haven't heard enough about those yet.
What are these things? I've never heard about them before. What is this thing called a waifu? Why are they having wars over them?
Well, let's talk a little bit about Persona.
I think we're already going on long enough, so I think we should be ending his show soon. Come
on, you don't want to do 2 more hours of Persona discussion? and then it also has Danganronpa and Virtue's Last Reward. So really, there's a lot of interesting shit to keep you occupied for hours and hours on that. That's all I got.
Alright, I guess if we have no more recommendations, we'll finish off this show. So, hopefully you enjoyed this episode of the show. If you'd like to subscribe to this show, please be sure to do so, and please be sure to share it with all your friends, enemies, people you like, people you hate, people you don't even know, all that. And be sure to follow this show and all of us on Twitters if you have one. And we are also on My Anime List if you would like to see what we are watching on there under the same name as our Twitter accounts. Additionally, me and Stranger have our Ask.fm if you want to ask us truly absurd questions that you'd not want to be heard on air. Though we could also say them on air if you'd like. Just saying. And also be sure to follow our blog, which is divergencecast.blogspot.com. Ignore all those blog spots. And, well, until next time, later.
Peace.